Hey cats, it's your midsole man, Eddbud here. There's loads of exciting new releases slated for 2025. Today I'm going to take a look at 3 different pairs that I'm most excited about, my most anticipated releases for this year. Let's get to it. Thanks for joining me on the channel, always appreciated. Do hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Also give this video a thumbs up, like, and drop us a comment to help with the YouTube algorithm. Dankeschön. So I've got 3 models for you that are my most anticipated releases for this year. Number 1 is the Fast R Nitro Elite 3. Very interesting. I think this one's actually releasing in a small batch very soon. It's the ATPU foam here rather than the Puma blend that they used in the first version of the shoe. So I'm expecting the foam to be a little bit closer to the second version of the Fast R. That was a really innovative shoe. Very interesting design with this protruding plate here at the front, and of course that decoupled midsole. It was very propulsive, really fun shoe and an exciting ride. Also incredibly durable too. I think the only real downside to that version of the shoe was the weight, just noticeably more heavy than some of the other contenders on the market. As such, I'm very excited to see that Puma have supposedly trimmed off a load of weight from the shoe in this third version, and the data generated about the shoe is very interesting as well. Lots of suggestion that it's one of the most efficient shoes on the market. So that second version of the Fast R came in at around about 264 grams for my UK size 11, so that's about 9.3 ounces. So it was at a slight disadvantage in terms of heft on foot. Puma appear to have trimmed back loads of the foam here from the heel area, with a more curved, beveled nature to the back section of the shoe, a bit like the Wave Rebellion Pro 3 or the Alphafly 3. Now I saw some figures quoted for the Fast R2 at around about 249 grams for the sample size, so it pretty much coincides with what I had for my size. But Puma reckon for the Fast R3 you've only got 167 grams, so that's quite a significant drop in weight in this new version, which is no doubt going to interest some people who are after a super shoe for their marathon or half marathon racing. I mean, if they've still got the same properties as the last version of the shoe, that sort of aggressive, propulsive nature, but with loads less weight, then I mean, that's really exciting. I mean, if we get down to that sort of 220 range, that could be absolutely brilliant in my size. That makes it a competitor to the Adidas Pro 4 or the Alphafly 3. I don't see Puma deviating, you see what I did there, from that 40mm stack in this shoe, keeping with the 8mm drop across the footbed. People always reckon that if there's 100 grams of weight, then that kind of like worsens the running economy by about 1%. In the running shoe game, it's very fine margin, so you take any advantage there. I think it's more down to setup here. I've always liked the more decoupled midsole approach from the Fast R series, going back to the Puma Ultra Ride, in fact. Only the true supporters of the channel remember that video. Though it doesn't look like it's fully decoupled now in the midsole. It looks like they filled in part of it, and that carbon plate doesn't appear to jut out quite as much as it did before. Though I think there's a little bit more foam under the forefoot area than we had in the Fast R2. So I think this one launches over in the US at least on the 25th of April. I don't know how many pairs there'll be. It might be one of those very limited launches. And I have seen a price of $300, which is, you know, quite a significant amount. I think the Fast R Nitro Elite 2 was about 225 quid here in the UK. Hopefully we'll know a bit more about the shoe when some of Puma's elite runners utilise these at the forthcoming marathons this weekend and next. Second shoe is the Boston 13 from Adidas. Now, I expected this one to appear a long while back, you know, at least in time for the Boston Marathon perhaps, but it doesn't look like that's actually happened. There must be a reason for the delay on the Boston 13, though until when it actually releases, you don't really speculate about what the shoe might be like. It does look like there's a bit more Light Strike Pro in the midsole this time round, maybe in the forefoot section, though it does look like that Light Strike Pro kind of comes around the Light Strike 2.0 bed. That foam was supposedly a bit firmer than Light Strike Pro, but when I measured them, they came in pretty much the same. It's slightly denser than Light Strike Pro, but you know, there's loads of different versions of Light Strike Pro now as well, so it's all a bit confusing. The Boston 13 though does now appear to be more of a training option with a thicker application of rubber on the outsole rather than the thinner light traction that we've got There's a section of that that's present in the medial side of the heel, then stretches up around the lateral side of the forefoot. Looks like we've still got the energy rods present here within the midsole, and of course some classic Continental rubber. It wouldn't be an Adidas shoe if you didn't have some of that on there. I think this is still Adidas's answer to the plated or rod equipped training model now. So think Zoomfly 6 or the Deviate Nitro 3, Endorphin Speed 4, Magic Speed from ASICS, that kind of thing. More durable trainer for the rotation, which will help to lessen the damage to those more expensive race shoes that you might be holding back for your marathon or half marathon preparations. Very excited to test out the Boston 13 when it does eventually drop. Always been a fan of that one, aside from the 10, I think it was. Terrible. I think they've kind of repositioned this shoe now within the lineup, so it used to be kind of like a racing model almost, but now very much a trainer. Really like the V12 though, very nimble and quite aggressive. Just really made me want to run fast. It's got a fun shoe. Pair 3 today is the Alphafly 4 from Nike. 4, you say? Well, the 3's been really good for me. Really enjoyed running in that one over the last year. I think like 350 miles in those shoes. It's one that just seems to work for me no matter what I'm doing out there. So what could Nike possibly change in this model to improve it? You know, what can they do? Can't really add an awful lot to it. Maybe they can take some things away. I mean, the V3 is very light now. It's in the same ballpark as the other super shoes once again, though with a bit of a price premium. So the Alphafly 4 prototype images here, of course, they may not be the finished articles. Certainly Nike have been taping off the midsoles there to hide away the air units and the tech to add a bit of mystique. Looks like they're going for a more standard lacing arrangement though, and I think a lot of people will be quite happy about that. Might mean they are moving away slightly from that atom knit stuff, which is more sock-like than anything. I've always felt the upper on the Alphafly does most of the heavy lifting when it comes to the lockdown. So the appearance of some final eyelets to the chain might facilitate a runner's knot. A brand new outsole style too, with 2 strips of rubber on either side of the shoe, and familiar bumps in that rubber around where the air units are on the ball of the foot. Carbon plate poking through, a little more heel rubber perhaps than the other versions. There has always been the main area of wear and abrasion on the V3. You take those out for one run and you come back, you got paint wear, the midsole's creased up, the foam starts looking a little bit like an elephant's foot. Perhaps Nike trying to eliminate that a little bit, though I always find that they build in obsolescence to their shoes. They want you to buy the new one, don't they? They're not stupid. I'm banking on 3 changes here though. A more pronounced heel bevel, as in that Puma shoe that I talked about earlier. They can stealth a little bit more foam into the heel there of the shoe, circumventing that 40mm stack height limit that we have for championship racing, though for us lot, you know. I mean, if you finished a marathon wearing the Super Blast 2, you've still run the marathon, right? If you're gunning for some world record time for championship points for your club and all that, then I think you should probably stick with your 40mm max shoes, right? Let me know how you feel about that, people. You know, down in the comments. Do you care? Or do you just want a shoe that's really comfortable and is going to get you through whatever session it is you're doing? I'd be very keen to see what you think. I reckon on a tiny bit more stack in the forefoot to enhance the bounce. I mean, they can add foam there, can't they, without too many problems. The changed up lacing system's the main other key difference here. Less material on the top of the foot. Standard laces seem to be a good way to go about doing that. That's the only ways I can really see them improving on what they got on the V3. That is a banger of a shoe. So that's my 3 most anticipated releases for 2025. Quite funny though, as I was recording this video, I mean, it's never happened before, but one of them's actually turned up. I didn't know I was actually getting this pair, and all I can say is it's fantastic. I actually had to pause making this video because someone came to the door. You can probably tell which pair it is by the box here. So, Fast R Nitro Elite 3 from Puma. It's pretty weird. It's like almost clairvoyant type stuff going on. Didn't know these were coming. Just done some quick measurements on them. 210 grams in my UK 11. Around about 42mm in the heel for me. 34mm up front, so got an 8mm drop. So to get this down to the same like weight or very similar weight to the Metaspeed Sky Paris is insane. That's a massive drop from what we had in the second version of the shoe, making it one of the lightest racers out there. So I'll get out in these as soon as I can. The weather's supposed to be atrocious today. Loads of wind and very heavy rain, so it might not be the best test bed for that. But we will get out in them very soon to give you my initial thoughts. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on these 3 pairs down in the comments. Quick musical interlude for you. I've got quite varied music taste, but there's one composer that always hits the spot from my perspective, and that is John Williams. Some of the greatest pieces of music, certainly cinematic type music, from that composer. Thinking about like Star Wars, Harry Potter, Home Alone as well, don't forget. But I think my favourite's probably the Raiders March from Indiana Jones. John Williams manages to create this piece of music that's kind of joyous and victorious and exciting, yet has this sadness to it as well. It's quite amazing. Mixes the two together from one bar to the next. Draws some incredible emotion from the stringed instruments, and it really adds to the film as well. That's what I love about his music. Always adds to the film rather than taking away. Always feels like the two things are meant to be together, the visuals and the sound, just as one, you know, sort of cohesive unit. Go and check this one out if you've never heard it before. It's a beautiful piece of music. The Raiders March from Indiana Jones by John Williams. Thanks for tuning in, people. Hopefully the next time you see me I'll be a millionaire because I've guessed the lottery numbers. Dream on, boy. Hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up like. Also drop us a comment as well to help with that YouTube algorithm. My name's Eddbud and I'll be seeing you